Hey guys!
Welcome back to another video. As you can see, we are not in the RV. We're back home in Maryland at our house here. So we dropped the RV off for service work in Florida and it's gonna be there for a couple weeks. So today we thought it would be kind of fun to do a Q&A video style with you guys. And so we had a post on YouTube a couple days ago. We said, if you guys have any questions about life or RVs or anything like that, our travel plans. So we got a lot of questions more about RVing and buying an RV and getting the right type and everything. So we're gonna make that more of the focus today, answering those kind of questions. And we're gonna try to hit as many as we can and kind of touch on them briefly. So if any of the questions you guys want like a more in-depth video on, definitely make sure you leave that down in the comments. And if a lot of you are wanting a video on a certain topic, we could definitely try to make a dedicated video for that.
For sure.
All right, so first up, Tina on YouTube asked, I wonder about buying used versus new. We aren't full-timers yet. Can you get a better deal going used but feel confident in your purchase? And what's the best way to buy used?
Yeah, so that's a question we get a lot on the Matt's RV review side, just in the RV world, new versus used. And you want to save money but also feel confident. So used can 100% be a good deal. And again, there's pros and cons to both. I would say that the cons are you got to be a little more flexible because you're not going to be able to like pick your options and get everything exactly the way you want. And you got to be patient, especially in this market. You have to be, really, really patient, but ready to go as soon as you find something, because it's like used just does not last at all right now.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think the value is a little bit better for new right now because there's such a huge demand for used. It's like, yeah, you're going to save money, but is it worth it? Because a lot of times you don't get the warranty from the manufacturer. It changes manufacturer to manufacturer, but, a lot of times when it transfers owners, the warranty drops off. So I always recommend buying an extended warranty with used as well because of that. You kind of have to weigh all that and decide, hey, we're saving X amount of dollars. Or sometimes in this market, you got to be really careful because sometimes used is going for a little more than new. But, under normal circumstances, you're saving, X amount of dollars. Is that little gap worth it compared to buying a new? And then people always say, oh, well, with a new one, all the kinks have been worked out and the bugs have been worked out. But surprisingly, what I'm seeing more often is there's too many bugs and people get frustrated and they fix what they see to get it, acceptable and then trade it in. So it's like, there are times, and especially in the past, it was big on like used was better because you work through the kinks.
Yeah.
It's kind of shifting a little bit where that's not always the case. So that's a really, really hard and good question. Again, the two big things I see with used is buy an extended warranty without a doubt, and get it inspected by an RV inspector.
Yeah.
And then the last part of that question was, what's the best way to buy used? Again, used, you got to be flexible. Check RV Trader, check local dealerships, be willing to travel to other dealerships. Yeah, Facebook Marketplace. So I think RV Trader is a big one if you're really looking for a specific used one. If you're really flexible on used, that's good. It's good that you're saying, hey, all I want is a travel trailer with bunks. Everything else I can give or take. That's great, but it's going to be harder to search for something. In those cases, it's probably better to go to a dealership or a couple dealerships and see what used bunkhouse travel trailers they have.
Yeah.
Because chances are you will find something that you like.
If you also know like what brand you're looking at on Facebook, a lot of times there's owners groups where people will post like, if you want like a Grand Design Reflection, make sure you're in the owners groups for those because people are going to be posting their used ones for sale.
Yeah.
And I also feel like in those groups, people are maybe a little bit more passionate about their RV and probably have taken better care of it. That's what my assumption would be. So it might be a good place to kind of find like the good used units that have been taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay, Curtis asked why we chose a fifth wheel over a motorhome, or why you would choose a fifth wheel over a motorhome. And I definitely think we want to make some videos like this in the future of like comparing, motorhome or a Class A and Class C, or a motorhome and towable, and kind of, comparing those different types of units and like why you might want one over the other. I think for us, why we've wanted a towable over a motorhome is just the amount of living space you get once you get somewhere. We don't have a problem with the towing aspect and hooking up. I've actually found that, I think it's a little over dramatized how much extra work it is compared to a motorhome, especially a Class A. if you're in a van, I know it's very quick to pack up and leave and get to the next place. But comparing like a motorhome and a fifth wheel, to me, the amount of work to hook up the truck to the fifth wheel is like, especially once you get used to it, it's like, to me, it's just as quick as the stuff that you're gonna need to do in a motorhome. You're still gonna put your slides in, you're still gonna bring your jacks up. So it's that only difference is hooking up to the fifth wheel hitch. And we found that it's pretty quick. And then like the amount of space you get inside once you're there, I mean, to me, it feels like you're in like an apartment. It's like very full-time friendly.
Very
and I think also when you're making that decision, it depends on the financial aspect of it. So if you already have a truck that's capable of towing a fifth wheel or a travel trailer, then it might make more sense because you've already invested in the truck, you already have that to get a towable. Whereas if you don't already have a truck capable of that and you're gonna have to buy the truck and the towable, well now it might make more sense to buy a motorhome. You still have to compare because, you know, depending on the motorhome, it might be the same price or more. But I think that's the consideration that when we worked in sales, a lot of times when people were making that decision between motorhome and towable, that's like a big question. Like, do you already have something that can pull it? Because if not, you got to consider that investment into it.
Yeah, and that was something that we personally ran into as well. I mean, we had a truck before we did decide to upgrade the truck, but knowing, you know, for some of the work that I do, we needed a truck anyway. So it made it a little bit easier for us. But also something else to keep in mind is if you have a motorhome, a lot of times people will want a towed behind it. And a towed is probably just as longer to hook up than the trailer is to the truck. You know, so we've found,
I think time to hook up and leave is, you hear people saying like motorhomes are so much quicker. I think, especially if you're towing a car with it, it's the same amount of time. So you gotta decide, what do you feel comfortable driving? Personally, I also like driving the truck because it's just like more familiar driving like a vehicle than you get. And here's the thing, I've driven a Class A and I actually feel more comfortable driving Class A than I thought I would. So it's not bad. It's not scaring you off of a motorhome. But just know that like it is going to feel different when you're behind the wheel of a motorhome, a big vehicle with a big windshield, than if you're more used to driving like a car or a truck. So it's all like, honestly, there's no right answer.
There's not.
You gotta like answer those questions for yourself of like what makes more sense and base the decision off that. Okay, so up next we have a question from Dawn who said, what is covered under a new RV warranty? Do you have any recommendations for a warranty on a used RV?
Okay, so what is covered under a new RV warranty? So every manufacturer is different, right? So I'm gonna kind of say this a little broad, but of course, you know, dive into the specific unit you're looking at a little bit deeper. Typically, and not with all, you're gonna have a 1 year, what they call limited warranty. That's gonna cover all the major components. You can kind of think of it as bumper to bumper, but you know, they're probably gonna give me crap for saying bumper to bumper because they don't want you to say that. But it's pretty much, most of the stuff is gonna be covered that you don't cause. You know, I mean, if you do something wrong with it and you damage it, of course they're not going to cover that. But yeah, I mean, that first year, if stuff breaks or falls apart, you know, for the most part, it's going to be covered. Then you're going to have a 1 or a 3 year structural warranty, which is like the main structural components of the motorhome. You know, no longer are they covering the microwave and the ACs and stuff like that. And that's for pretty much the house section of an RV and the frame of a towable. A motorized typically is gonna have like around 3 or 36. Of course, Mercedes is different from Ford, so it's around that. You know, again, you, especially with that, you really need to dive into your specific unit.
For the actual chassis part.
For the actual chassis part. And then there's gonna be other little warranties to pay attention to, like Alliance is doing, I think, either a 10 or 15 year warranty on their roof. You know, some of the other components do have different warranties on them as well. Again, look at those specific units. So you'll want to dive into those a little bit deeper. But that's kind of an overview, and it's really hard to cover warranties like that, you know, because everybody's different, especially now. It used to be even more straightforward, but you know, Thor was a big one that came in and did their 612 warranty, which I think was actually pretty cool.
And I think in terms of like whether you should get a warranty, it really really depends on your own financial position. If you have an issue come up with your RV and it doesn't hurt you to take a couple $1,000s out, or even like $5,000 to spend on repairing an issue, then you probably don't need a warranty. Whereas if you don't have that as much money in the bank saved for emergencies like that and repairs, then you probably do need a warranty, and that way, you know, you're spreading out the payment for that kind of stuff.
And RVs are different from cars. Like, we bought a used truck, I did buy an extended warranty on that. But when I bought a new vehicle, I didn't, because I felt more comfortable. RVs in general, more things do break on them. I mean, again, you're taking your house down the road, basically, and things break more on them. So it is hard, and it's a question that we get a lot. Again, we personally did buy the warranty. I could see the argument the other way as well.
Yeah.
So.
All right, next question from Felix. My hubby and I went to our first RV show. We were wondering if the rigs that were there were the ones dealers couldn't sell. Should we avoid buying at shows? So this is a great question. I think there's a lot of like unknown around RV shows. Like, is it really a better deal? Is it worth buying at them? Is it not? Are you getting like scammed? You know. So yeah, definitely a good question. So first up, the rigs that are at the show are by no means the ones that dealers couldn't sell.
You know, sometimes manufacturers will send units to the show to make sure that it's in the show, and the salesman may sell it, but then they'll do orders off of it. So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times like the rigs that they're bringing to the shows are the ones that are actually like the best sellers.
Yeah.
Because like Will said, a lot of times they're not just selling that unit, they're getting orders off that unit. The first couple days of the show is when they're selling a lot of the actual units at the show. Those kind of go quick, and then especially in this market with just like the lack of inventory, so a lot of times the ones that are like physically at the show, they go within like the first day or two. So then if people come and like they see this Jayco Precept there and they really like it, a lot of times they're now like ordering it.
Yes.
So they want to have it, you know, and every dealer is representing like different brands at the show. They are kind of locked into like what brands they have to bring, but they want to bring the floor plans that are selling good. They want to bring the things that they're going to get the most orders off of. They make more money off of that than a unit that they're just gonna like sell that one unit and then they're done with it.
Right.
So yeah, they're definitely not bringing like the crap units that nobody wants, not selling.
Right. The second part of that was, should we avoid buying at shows? And it used to be before, I always said, don't buy the unit in the show, but it's okay to buy at the show. You know, I've kind of come around to buying the unit in the show a little bit more, just because inventory is so hard to get right now. You know, it's kind of like you may not have a choice. Just make sure to go through it and make sure everything gets buttoned up, because they do get a little beat up in the shows.
Yeah, all the people going in now.
Yeah. Especially if you have an order, or if it's another unit back at the lot that's the same. I 100% do recommend buying at the shows. You know, could you get that same deal outside of the show? Possibly. Manufacturers do give incentives and rebates. Not that they don't other times as well, because they do. A big part of it too is just like the sales goal, and everybody's, you know, in that mindset. And I've seen them do stuff at shows that they would not do back at the lot, especially if you're kind of negotiating hard. It's like, hey, let's just get the deal done, you know, move on to the next one.
Like, they want to get another unit sold.
They want to get another unit sold. Hey, come on, we're trying to hit, you know, 50 for today. You know, this puts us halfway there, whatever it is. So
what I would say is, like, don't go in with the expectation of like, oh, you have to buy the show, like you're gonna get so much better. I don't think that's the case, but I also don't think it hurts to buy the show. I don't think you're getting taken advantage of.
You're gonna get that extra little.
Yeah, you might get that extra little thing. So it's one of those where it's like, if it works out where you guys are like ready to buy right when a show comes around, then do it. If there's not a show for 6 months and you know what you want, don't wait for the show. There's not that much of a benefit of buying at the show, but it doesn't hurt you to buy at the show. And also too, when we were at the Tampa RV show a couple months ago, we made a video all about like tips for buying at the show. So I'll make sure to link that up there so you can check that out. You know, specifically some of the like negotiation buying tips if you are going to buy at a show. Because it's a little bit different. It's not like just going to the dealership and, you know, you're just talking with a salesperson, and, you know, it is more of a high energy.
It is, yeah.
And also, like, for the customer, it's a little bit more of a stressful, confusing time, because you do feel like you're more pressured, like, because there's like a deadline, like the show only lasts for so long and you feel like you want to take advantage. So definitely watch that if you're thinking you might buy at the show. That'll definitely help you just be going more as like an educated, prepared consumer.
Correct.
I think.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, next question. Jessica Moore asked, I'd love more information about bringing RVs in for service/warranty. We have been through the whole keeping our camper all winter and not getting it fixed. Any strategies for avoiding this?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, and something that's tough right now. And, the dealerships are slammed right now. There's no doubt about it, especially on the service side of things. There's definitely a shortage with service techs. And if that's something you're interested in, it's a good business to get into right now. It's really, really hard, and something, we're kind of going through right now. We have our unit in for service, and we're like, I hope everything gets done by the time we're ready to pick it up. And you have to, you do have to be somewhat flexible, but the biggest thing is you got to stay on them. Keep calling and sending emails, asking for updates. Don't wait till 2 days beforehand and be like, hey, we're gonna, don't forget our pickups in 2 days and expect everything to be done. Again, these people are slammed, and don't get me wrong, it's not right. You shouldn't have to, but
you have to be the advocate for your own.
You
RV.
do.
Unfortunately, but it's just the way the market is. Like Will said, they are slammed. There's a lack of service people, and I think a lot of dealerships are trying to keep. I do think there's some dealers that where the service is better than others, but I think it's also one of those where, as the customer, you got to be the advocate. Stay on them on a regular basis. If you have it in for a few weeks, like calling maybe once a week, checking in on it and everything. So there's no perfect answer to it, I feel like. But like, I know what we did is like, we had issues, like little things come up as we were using the RV, and we had a shared note. So whenever we saw something that needed to be fixed, we'd add it to that note so we didn't forget. So then when we dropped the RV off for service at the RV one in Tampa, they had a service manager come out and do a whole walkthrough with us. And we really used that time for Will to kind of show him because we were going to send them a list of all of the things that needed fixed, but Will wanted to walk through maybe the more confusing things that were hard to explain on over email, and also just the more important things to get fixed.
Right.
And so we, they spent the time, and we did a walkthrough and explained some of the stuff. And then that night, Will sent them an email of everything that had to be fixed, very detailed and everything. So I think that's part of it. Is just we sent them a specific list. We're spending the time to walk through it with them, explaining. And also what we did too is, because we had a lot of things, but most of them were just little things, little cosmetic things that weren't that big of a concern. So we made sure to tell them, hey, these things are the priority.
Right.
We need to pick it up by this date, so we need to make sure that these things are getting prioritized. And if some of these don't get fixed, it's not the end of the world, but we also want it put back together so we could pick it up the day that we need it.
Right.
So yeah, just I think communication with them, over communication is key.
I would agree, And don't be afraid, to call and ask for a manager, service manager, general manager, whoever you need to make sure that things get done. And, it's not,
getting
somebody in trouble. It's just hey, and, the GMs know it, the directors know it. Everybody knows that these service techs and service advisors are overwhelmed. So if you're not getting the care you need, they want to make sure to step in and know about it and help you get the care you need. So.
All right, question from Jay. How does the Denali tow? What transmission does it have? And we haven't really talked a lot about that. I know people have been kind of asking about what our experience has been towing with it. So I'll let Will kind of tell that, because we both drive it, but he drives it more.
Yeah, so we did, so before this, we had another GMC Sierra 2500. That was the diesel. We didn't like it. I think more probably Jen didn't like it, to be honest, because diesels are loud, and it was older.
I called it old crotchety.
Yeah, it was clunky and old and everything. So, I agreed that we would do the gas engine this time, which I was fine with giving that a try. One of the reasons too was we wanted, the crew cab and the short bed and all that. And all of that, and the four-wheel drive, and all that lowers your payload capacity.
Yeah.
So going with the gas engine actually helped increase our payload capacity a little bit, because the diesel engine is heavier.
Yeah.
So it was a win that way, because I think you can tow, if I remember correctly, 15,000 pounds is the rating. Well, the trailer weighs 10,000 or 10.5 dry. So the tow capacity is good, but that cargo capacity is where we are on the line. Overall, I think it tows really, really well. When we're on rough roads and stuff, we definitely feel it. And I do wonder in the back of my mind, hey, how would a 3500 feel different, or how did a dually feel different?
It's hard to compare because we haven't felt it,
So,
but overall, I mean, I think Like, yeah, maybe if we went to a 3500, we would be like, oh wow, this is so much better. I don't feel like it's that uncomfortable of a driving experience, you know?
We've talked about it like, hey, do you think that we should have gone a bigger truck? Do you think we should upgrade? And we've gone back and forth about it. But I think the decision that we've come to is that, you know, we're going to keep this truck until, you
Especially
know.
while we have the Avenue.
While we have the Avenue for sure. If we bought a new truck, I would think we would probably go a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I think so.
But probably more to prepare in case we did want to go bigger.
A bigger fifth
wheel. Not because I feel like we need it now. The truck does really, really good towing up hills so far, which surprises me.
We haven't done a lot of
like big hills.
Mountains and stuff, so I am a little like concerned with that, and we'll definitely update you guys with how it performs once hopefully we'll be doing some trips this year where it's gonna like test that. And we have some friends who have a diesel and they were pulling the reflection out in like the mountains
350.
And the mountains of Georgia, and it was like overheating really bad. So we're like, well, we'll see how ours does. We'll test it. You know, we might have to pull over a lot, let it cool down.
So, we'll take it easy on the truck. Overall, it does really good. I think the suspension does really good for how much weight's there. I mean, of course, every now and then, like on Texas roads, we were really feeling it. But
Texas roads are not fun.
And in the beginning, I think it was a little bit worse than we were expecting. But it's done really good, and it's a lot smoother now, I think. Especially when we're just cruising on the highway. So we love our truck.
Yeah, it's a good boy. All right, so back to the topic of our RV getting service. Harold asked, why is the RV being serviced? What happened to quality control and PDI? And I think this is like a really big misconception. We talked about this in our first impressions of full-time RVing video, but just like people, especially that are new to RVing, go in with the expectation that you buy a new RV and you shouldn't expect any issues with it, at least for a while, and you shouldn't expect much issues to pop up and everything.
They expect it almost like a car. When you drive a new car off the lot. You don't have problems in your first 30, 40, 50,000 miles.
Right.
You shouldn't, at least.
And unfortunately, it's just not the case with RVs, and it does not matter what manufacturer you buy or brand. It really does not. You are always going to have, especially with a brand new RV, you're going to have issues like, especially in the very beginning, that pop up. The key is how serious are those issues, and that's where I think that the manufacturer makes the difference. So like when we bought our Alliance Avenue, and we were pretty much full-timing in it for a good 2 months, and in that time, it's a brand new unit. The stuff, the kinks that were going to work out worked its way out because we were like heavily using it. So for the most part, it was just like minor issues. Like trim coming loose because you're shaking and the nails start working their way out a little bit. Just really like minor things, like the water pressure in this one sink is like not as high as it should be. Like very little things, and I think that's the key. Is like no matter what brand, you're gonna have issues come up. But it's all about like how serious are those issues. But then also just like knowing that that's gonna happen, especially if you're full timing. Like those things are getting heavily used, and like the stuff's gonna work its way out when it's being used all the time. And that doesn't reflect on the PDI. A lot of the stuff doesn't present itself until it's being used. Because trust me, when we picked up our unit, we did a full walkthrough using everything, and we actually gave them some things to fix before we picked it up, and they went ahead and fixed that and everything. These things presented itself from us using it day after day.
Exactly. Yeah, no doubt about it. Like, you really can't blame the PDI people because, again, it's that constant use. Everything's going to work in the beginning because it's like it hasn't been used type of thing. But the more that you use it, the more that those little flaws present themselves. One year at the Tampa RV show, Matt and I were talking to, I believe it was a Marathon rep, and they build on the Prevost chassis. So, and we were just chatting with him, and we did a quick video. I forget what they were going for at the time, but now I think they go for like $2 or $3, maybe more $1 million a year. I don't follow those as much. But at that price point, one of the first things out of his mouth was our service department, blah, blah, blah. Because even at, a couple $1 million, things are still going to break even on that. It's all about, the company standing behind it. That was a big reason we chose Alliance, is because they do stand behind their product, and service after is important to them. And again, it doesn't matter. I mean, I would imagine that, a Marathon is going to have less issues than even our Alliance.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're spending that much money,
but it's still
going to have issues.
And I think the key is, guys, if you're like, whether you're just getting into RVing or you've been doing it for a while, if you like have that mindset of like nothing should break, and when stuff breaks, like it's just a piece of crap.
Yeah.
You're not gonna have a good time RVing. I can promise you.
Right.
Like every RV is gonna need service. It's gonna have things to work out. It's like, yeah, there is a point where it's like, okay, this is a quality issue. There's major issues with this, and I'm not saying like not to be concerned with that, especially for like the little things. You almost got to get used to like, living in the RV where there is like little issues, and like living with it until you can get in for service. Because if you're not going to be wanting to take it in for service once a month just to fix some little issues, kind of just like get used to that. And I think for people, if they have that mindset, again, it's not to discredit if there's major issues with your RV and there is major quality control, but I think it's just like, there's a lot of people that get into RVing, like you said, expecting it to be like cars where you have it for a couple years and there's hardly anything wrong with it. It's just not going to be like that.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, next question is from Jared, and he asked, what is it like living in an RV and being in different campgrounds? You want to answer that one?
Yeah, so I would say, obviously there's like a lot to that question of what it's like, but I will say, I'll tell you this, I love the lifestyle. We've been like full-timing, like I said, for the first 2 months of 2022, and I love it. It feels like, especially in a fifth wheel, to me it feels like living in an apartment, but then getting to like move that apartment wherever you want to. I think that's the gist of it. I've just really enjoyed the lifestyle. We talked about this a little bit in our first impressions video, but I just love the fact that you're living smaller. You don't have so much stuff. You can't have so much stuff because there's literally not enough room to put it there. And so you're forced to like live smaller and simpler. And I find that I'm just happier living in an RV than living in a house. I like the simplicity of it. I think it takes a lot of like stressors off of life that we don't even realize are there when we're living in a house with so much like stuff and clutter and everything. And then just like the ability to go to different campgrounds and to have your scenery change. To us, like that's just something that we've realized is crucial for us in life, is like that change. We get kind of depressed when like life is stagnant and you're always in the same place. And so being in, at a campground in San Antonio one week where there's a golf course right there and I can walk the dogs, and then going, back to Florida and being in the sunshine, and like I just love the change of scenery. I love the lifestyle, so if you guys are considering it, I highly recommend it.
I agree.
I just think that it's just a nice way of life.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, final question we're gonna hit is from Michelle, who asked, any plans on living full time in your RV?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a funny question because we do have our house, obviously.
Yeah.
And but we love spending time in our RV, and we spend a lot of time in it.
I think we consider ourselves like full-timers at this point. Yeah,
pretty much. Kind of the way that I almost see us doing it is almost like seasonally, like KYD does it. And we're figuring it out as we go. But it's like, we spent so much time in Florida during winter, and then we came home for a little bit, and then we're going to be hitting the road again soon. So I could definitely see us, especially in the future, even selling this house or renting it out permanently. It's definitely on the table for us. I certainly wouldn't say no by any means, but at the same time right now, I think our thought is still like, hey, we'll be home for Christmas and stuff like that.
Have a place like this is our house in Maryland. It's like a townhouse, and it's still like nice knowing that you have a place to come back to. Our family's around here, so during like Thanksgiving and Christmas, to be able to come and stay here and have people over is just like a nice feeling. But we're definitely looking at renting this out for the rest of the year because we expect to spend most of the year in the RV. Yeah. Quite honestly, we'd probably be in the RV right now if it wasn't getting service. That's the only reason why we're home. And it's actually a good question because we've like in the last like month or two, because we've spent so little time here in this house, we really started to talk about how it doesn't make sense for us to keep paying the mortgage payment and not having tenants in here when we're hardly ever home. So we're starting the process of getting this like ready to be like rentable. Yeah. So we're kind of working on that and like figuring out how do we want to set that up for renters, and then also make it so it's comfortable for the holidays when we come home. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, leading into kind of what we have upcoming, we do have some, we are going to be leaving the house. We're only here for 2 weeks? 2 weeks total. 2 weeks total. And then we are taking an exciting trip
Yeah.
in a couple of days that you guys will see when that video comes out.
Are we gonna keep that one a surprise?
We'll keep that a surprise.
Okay.
But yeah, that's the plan. We're not home for very long, so now that we've kind of decided that we want to rent this out, we're like trying to cram all of this like
I know, it's so
preparation.
much to do.
It's hard because when you're not here, it's hard to like get the house ready to be rentable. So we're like trying to cram as much in as we can like while we're home. But yeah.
But then after that, we had that big trip, and then we will be home for a couple days, and then we're going back to get the RV.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. We're excited for that.
I miss my RV.
Yeah, and then we are going to Charleston, South Carolina, which we hope to see all of you there. That'll be like a fun meet and greet. Okay. Yeah, because we are doing a grand opening on our Charleston store that's just opening up, and we were just there the other day. They're making like tons of progress on it. This one's really exciting because one of our really good friends, Elijah, is going to be the GM of the store, and it's a huge promotion for him. He's one of the hardest working people I know, so we're excited to help him open it.
Yeah.
And
Elijah,
wish him tons of success.
Elijah is like the reason that we're even like partnered with RV Retailer. He was the one that really like saw the value in Matt's RV reviews and like really pushed to like start the conversation and the partnership. So we owe so much to him.
We do.
Of like where we are right now with RV Retailer and
he truly has become a really, really good friend of ours. We love him and his family so much.
Yeah. So we're really happy for him that he's going to be the GM of the store, and we want to launch it with success. So we'll leave the details. I'm going to create a Facebook event for that, like hopefully before this video comes out. And if so, I'll link to that so you guys can start planning. Even if you're not in the Charleston area, he's going to have some really good brands.
He really
there
is. I'm not just saying that like, come out, we're going to have great brands. Like, no, really good brands.
Yeah.
The only one I wish he had is Alliance.
Yeah, he won't have Alliance, but he's gonna have a lot of good motorhomes and towables.
Yes.
So hopefully I'll have that event set up, and I'll link that below so you guys can check it out and everything. And like Will said, we're gonna be like meeting people there. Yeah. Having a lot of fun games and stuff. Probably a food truck, I'm sure. So it's gonna be a fun time if you guys can make it.
And it's Charleston, South Carolina. Who doesn't want to go there?
Right. Charleston's always fun.
It is
and I
fun.
love that.
Yeah.
So well, that wraps up this video. I know we didn't hit everybody's questions, but we tried to hit like as many as we could in one video. If you guys have any other questions that you want us to answer in a future video, we can try to do stuff like this more often. But also, if we talked about a topic, like we said earlier, if we talked about a topic that you want like a more in-depth video on, that's the kind of videos we're trying to do on Wednesdays now. So make sure you leave down in the comments if you're interested in learning more about that, and we'll try to fit that into the schedule. But thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry we didn't have a vlog last week. We've been, like I said, home relaxing, trying to take a break, but we will have a vlog coming out this Sunday, which is behind the scenes of us working the Tampa RV show. So that's a cool video. So make sure, if you don't yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button, like this video if you got some value from it. And we'll see you guys on Sunday.
See ya.
Bye, guys. Okay, I just thought of one more bonus question.
Okay.
That everyone's been asking is, who's our other dog that we have in the RV?
We actually have two other dogs.
We have two. So everyone knows Tucker Bear, right? Okay, I guess you don't want to be on camera.
Tucker, say hi. Come here.
Tucker.
Come here. Oh, why are you so scared, Sid?
Yeah, I did not sign up for this.
Okay, ready? Do your cuteness.
Oh.
And then if you try to take your hand away, he holds it in. Can I have my hand? Oh, you're not going to hold him today?
I'm not performing for your YouTube channel.
So speaking of our other dogs, this is Max.
Introduce Max, Tucker.
Max, come here. So Max usually doesn't travel with us because he doesn't do so well. He gets separation anxiety, so it's like hard leaving him in the RV. But and he grew up at Will's parents' house, so he usually stays there when we travel.
And he loves it there because he likes to run. And
they got woods and everything. But Toby,
Tucker's still trying to be.
Oh, I see. But Toby, everyone was asking about Toby because we didn't really do an introduction. But we've had look at his. Toby's a very awkward dog.
He is. So Jen and I rescued Toby. Like when we first started dating, really.
Yeah.
And he
was 8 weeks old.
He was 8 weeks old, and he was really badly abused.
Yeah.
Like even in his tail, you can't see it, but if you feel it, it's broken right here.
His tail was broken at 8 weeks old.
At 8 weeks old, it's right there is where it's broken. It's really sad. But so he gets scared a lot, and he doesn't do good with other dogs. But he's really sweet.
Yeah. We always joke, like, I swear he's like a human in a dog body, like trapped in a dog body, because he's just like very awkward and like seems to like have human faces and emotions. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, we think he's like a beagle, German short-haired pointer mix. That's my guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've had him for a long time. He lived with Will before we got married, but we didn't travel with him as much like last year when we were in hotels because it's a little bit harder.
And he used to get car sick really, really bad.
Yeah, we got him out of that.
But we got him out of that. So
yeah,
he does good in the car now.
This big RV trip has gotten him out of his fear of the car. So now he'll definitely be coming on with us on most of our RV trips because he does really well.
Yeah.
And also these two, Toby and Tucker, are like best friends. So Tucker loves Toby, being with us and everything.
Is that your Toby brother?
All right, give him a kiss. Tucker, get Toby.
Tucker, right here.
Get Toby. Give him a kiss.
Oh, good boy. Can you guys say bye to the vlog now?
Say bye to the YouTube channel.
Okay, come here.
Say bye, everybody.
Sit. This is what I always do with Tucker when Mommy leaves. Tucker says, bye, Mommy.
Say bye.
Bye, vlog. I love you.
Aw, bye, Tucker.
He's not enjoying it today, though.
Bye, Tucker. Bye-bye.